there everyone, my name is Jenna. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're actually gonna give our front porch a little makeover, and it's just right now in need of some sprucing up. We need to add some curb appeal because it's looking really bare and bland, and this is the first space that people see when they enter our home. So I want it to feel a little bit more inviting, and I just want to layer in a couple of decor pieces to make it feel a little bit more elevated and inviting. So this video is kindly sponsored by Lowe's, which I'm really excited about because you guys know that I love to show you how you can create a more elevated, designer looking aesthetic on a budget with easily attainable items that are practical and budget friendly. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. And I'm really excited about the items that I sourced for this project. There's a lot of really beautiful pieces that look a lot more expensive than they are. So I ordered most of these products online and they're all ready to go for store pickup. So we can go head over to Lowe's together and then we'll pick up the items and we'll come back home and start styling them and transforming the space. Okay, so here were some of the inspiration images that I came up with. I just wanted to keep things feeling simple with combining elements of a rustic Mediterranean / European style with some Southwestern elements. So we have those rustic terracotta pots and wrought iron furniture with some curved lines as a nod to that European style. And then we add in those Southwestern elements in the form of plants with some cacti and a couple of Mediterranean plants mixed in. So to source the products for this makeover, I turned to Lowe's because they carry the brands Allen + Roth and Origin 21, which I love. So I ordered some of my favorites online and it was really easy to just pick them up in store. And you can also save time and money with free shipping on orders of $45 or more. So this was the space that we were starting with. And one of the things that's bothered me is how tiny this entryway mat is compared to the scale of our door. This is a much larger front door than in our previous homes. So I wanted to find something that would match the scale better, but also added to the aesthetic. So I picked up this stunning striped jute rug, and I love the natural feel of the jute combined with that subtle striped pattern that feels really classic and timeless. Although now I might have to buy another one for inside because it's Kona's new favorite rug. But when layering this into the outdoor space, it already looks so much better with this pattern and the larger scale. So now that we have a more high-end looking textile base, I wanted to balance that out a bit with adding some layers of potted plants in this empty corner just to help fill it out. So for our large anchoring planter, I picked out this stunning plaster look jug that has a beautiful old world shape and texture to it, which just gives it a much more expensive feel. And another thing that I love about this planter is the removable shelf that raises the planter, making it super easy to use as a decorative indoor pot as well if you don't actually want to plant anything in it with soil. So I love the versatility of that, but we're just going to place this in the corner, and this is just going to help add that height and be an anchor for our planter arrangement. And next I wanted to layer that aged terracotta look in there, so I just picked up this beautiful textured terracotta look planter and then I popped that in front. So now we have a nice height variation, which is really visually pleasing. And you all know that I like to keep my decor feeling really earthy and organic, so I just grabbed this stunning wicker lantern to layer another material in there that feels subtle and natural but also warm and organic. And then I just placed this battery operated candle on a timer in there too, so that can give off a really cozy and inviting glow at nighttime. So I really like this combination of materials that we have here with the plaster, terracotta look, and then the woven material. And the goal right now is just to set everything in place, and then we can go shopping for plants once we get everything laid out. So now I wanted to address this empty white wall and add some visual interest there. So I showed you all in my inspiration images how a lot of them had those black iron looking console tables just to add that homey decorative element. So I sourced this stunning mini plant stand, and I love the lines on this with the curved legs and feet, and this just feels like something you'd find layered in an old rustic European garden. So this was the perfect thing to add to this space. This would also be super cute to use indoors as well for like a little herb garden underneath a window. I just thought this was so charming, and this thing was so affordable, you guys. I honestly couldn't believe the price on this one. But again, I wanted to layer in some planters with a warmer terracotta look to them. So I just picked out this cute footed planter, and because the plant stand had these bars running across it, I just used this little plastic saucer to give the footed planter something to rest on and make it a little bit more sturdy. And you all know when I'm decorating, it's almost non-negotiable for me to mix the old and the new to create a more dynamic lived-in aesthetic. So on one of my most recent trips to the thrift store, I found this sweet little iron lantern with a really beautiful patina on it. So I just thought this would be the perfect piece to layer in and add some variation to our little planter grouping and just give the space a bit more of that like old world feel. And speaking of old world feel, I sourced this adorable little terracotta look planter that has a faux patina on it, which I really love. It definitely has that old world look to it, and I love the built-in saucer on the bottom. So now that we have the top row of the stand all laid out, I wanted to add some planters to the bottom shelf. So I picked out this kind of rustic looking glazed bowl planter with the built-in saucer, which will give us some nice size variation. And then I also used one of the small terracotta look planters again, just because I loved it so much. So now that we have a rough layout of everything, I've taken some photos to reference, and it's time for the fun part, heading off to the Lowe's Garden Center to pick out our greenery. So the plants that you select for an outdoor space can really make a big impact on the overall feel of that space. So I wanted to kind of share my plant selection process with you all. And here in Arizona, we have some really intense summers. This year has actually been more mild, but there have been years with over 50 consecutive days over 110 degrees, which is really tough on plants. So it was important to me to source plants that could stand up to the heat but still look pretty, and I really liked the concept of some of these cacti and succulent arrangements. I got a lot of inspiration from these. I just thought it was a beautiful way to display some more hardy plants by mixing colors and textures. So my goal was to incorporate some southwestern cacti and mix those in with some more Mediterranean shrubs to add softness. And olive trees do really well here in our heat. I also loved the look of rosemary and soft purple flowering plants. So when I saw this coastal rosemary and how it has these light purple blooms, typically in the fall and spring, I knew this would be perfect. And even though this shrub is actually native to Australia, I just feel like it has that soft Mediterranean look to it with the cooler blue tones and the rustic texture of the leaves. And because it is so hot here, I'm only going to repot certain plants because it's a lot of stress on the plants during this time of intense heat to kind of mess with their roots. So I'm not going to do that if I don't have to, but I really do love how much height and texture this coastal rosemary gives to the space. And then for the lower planter, I kind of wanted to mimic the cacti and succulent arrangements that we saw, just on a simpler scale with some more cooler blue tones. The cool blue fits in really well with the color palette of a lot of the Mediterranean plants, and it also looks really nice contrasted with the orangey terracotta planters. So I picked out this gorgeous blue elf aloe, which will add some nice texture to the space and also stand up to the heat, which is great. And then if you look at most of the cacti arrangements, they varied in color and tone, but also in shape. So the aloe is more of a tall, upright silhouette. So I wanted to pair that with something a bit lower, and this sprawling rosemary plant was perfect, except for the fact that once I added it in there, I felt like it was a bit too cramped. So I just took a serrated knife and carefully cut the plant in half. And ideally, you would do this during the fall or spring season when the weather is a bit more mild for the plant. But I've had them repotted for over a week now, and they're still going strong. So this is just going to give the plant more space to grow and spread out. So I just backfilled the empty space with soil, and then I picked up some of these smaller pea pebbles to add a more decorative finish to this arrangement. Combining two different smaller plants within one planter was super easy to do, and it just kind of helps to elevate the look of everything a little bit and makes it feel more like a mini garden that has variety and intention and almost feels artistic in a way. So now that our little planter grouping looks great, I just wanted to move on to picking out plants for the plant stand area, and I spotted this snow prickly pear cactus, and I loved how the plant's fuzz caught the light and just added a unique look and texture. So I just popped this into the 6-footed terracotta planter to help add some height and anchor the space and just be one of the main focal points with that beautiful, unique shape and texture. And then I found this smaller silver blue colored cactus on the clearance rack, and I was originally going to repot it, but when I went to do that, I noticed that the soil seemed really loose, so I decided to just place the plant in the planter, and then I added some of that rock dressing to make it feel a little bit more finished and put together. And for the bottom shelf, I had this little prickly pear cactus that I had for a while just sitting in our backyard, and it had kind of been neglected out in the heat. So I started by picking off some of the unhealthy pads, and then to fit it into the planter, I just used the dividing trick where I used the serrated knife to separate the plant into 2 smaller sections so that I could fit it into the bowl planter. And I also just used the remaining rosemary that we had from our larger plant for the smaller terracotta planter. Now, I thought that this all looked really good, but I kept looking back at my inspiration images and I really liked the simplicity of just the terracotta planters. So sometimes this happens when I'm styling. I just have an idea, but once I see it all in place, I like to edit it to get the exact look that I'm going for. So I decided to take the vintage lantern and then style it over with the woven lantern on the floor, just for more of a layered look over there. And I actually think that the lanterns look better paired together. And then I just moved the smaller planter over to balance out the planters on the top shelf and create a little grouping. And I really loved the look of this rustic glazed planter on the bottom shelf, but I kind of wanted to try this area styled with only terracotta colored planters. So what I actually did was I moved this inside to be the centerpiece on our dining table. And I love it so much in this space because it's a low maintenance piece of greenery that's real and gives off that artistic sculptural look, but everyone can still see each other around the table, which is great. Then I moved the rosemary to the other side to balance out the look of everything, and I love how this edit turned out. This was much more of the look that I was going for with those terracotta colored planters, just really simple and understated. So just as a reminder, here is the space that we started with, and here is what it looks like now. With the addition of just a few affordable decor pieces, we were able to totally transform the space and give it a large dose of curb appeal that matches those inspiration images with that rustic European feel. You can find the links to all of the products that I used in this space by scanning the QR code on the screen or by referencing the links listed in the description box. Lowe's also offers same-day delivery for eligible in-stock items when you order by 2 p.m. I am truly so impressed by this high-end look that we were able to create on a budget using Lowe's products, and I love that our entryway now feels really inviting and welcoming. All right, everyone, that about wraps up this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It's a free and easy way to support the channel. And speaking of supporting the channel, a big thank you goes out to Lowe's for sponsoring today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing what you can do with super budget-friendly products that can easily transform a space and give it a more high-end look. I hope you all have a wonderful week. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye!